Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. We're here again, another week, another story to tell. And like I said last week, this week I'm gonna talk to you guys about dialysis and what my treatment is and why I do dialysis. Like I said last week, I do dialysis to stay alive, and if I don't do it, I will die. And my dialysis prescription or treatment is all given to me by my nephrologist, which is my kidney doctor, to put it in simple words. And he's the one that decides how much treatment I'm going to get. He's the one that decides how long I'm going to be there for and how much liquid I'm going to remove and my target weights. So the way dialysis works is basically like a kidney. You go there for the amount of time that your doctor wants you to be there, and it does the work that your kidney is supposed to do. So dialysis is not 100% obviously effective because your kidneys work 24/7 throughout the day, all the time. And we obviously only go to dialysis 3 times a week, every other day. Except for Saturday and Sunday. I don't go those 2 days in a row. But so it's supposed to replace the kidney. So it's just filters. So it filters. So again, like I said before, all the liquid and all the juices, everything that I drink and eat, it's in my body. And that filter just takes it out. So like I said last week, I was going to show you. So I have this in my arm. Sorry, it looks like that I had dialysis today. So I still have the markings. So I have all this from the tape they put on it. So here is where they do my treatment. So I got this one. So I had showed you guys in previous videos, I had the tube in my neck. So after, that one is very dangerous because it's a direct line to your heart. And that one can get infected or can get dirty. So they try to remove it as fast as possible. So they give you this one, which is called an Axis. A lot of people get it confused. Sometimes they do create one for older people who don't have good veins, or for, I guess, also young people that don't have good veins. They create one. So they will basically add a stent, which is basically just like a tube or like a straw. And then they put it in there and to expand your vein. For mine, they just use my regular veins. So you can see the way the surgeon did mine. It was weird. So I have this bump here, but usually you don't. I'll post a picture up here of what it looks like when I first got it done. It wasn't this bumpy, or it wasn't obviously this inflated. It's gotten like that throughout the time. Also, I work out a lot, and so my muscles have gotten bigger, so it protrudes out a lot more. But I'll be showing what it looked like. And yeah, so one of the things that also is very dangerous about dialysis is infiltrations or infections. So infiltration means is when the needle, they poke you wrong and they poke you inside and they break the walls, and then the needle, and then your blood expands everywhere, so it swells up. I will also be posting a picture up here of that. And it's all bruised up. It'll get really, so that's also one of the things that you need to be very careful when doing dialysis. So yeah, so there's different types of dialysis. So I do the dialysis in the dialysis clinic. And then there's also one that you can do at home, and then they will basically put a tube in your stomach, and you can do dialysis from home when you're sleeping. But this one I do there, and then they do it for me. I just sit in the chair for 3 hours, but I don't have to do much myself. But if I had chose to do it at home, they bring the machine. I would go to classes where they teach me how to poke myself, how to do all the treatments by myself, and I would have someone like a nurse or someone that would check on me like once a month or once a week, and then to just make sure everything's fine. And then I would have someone to come give me my medicine, because I do have medicine given to me that I usually cannot give to myself. It has to be a professional to give it to me. So that's also an option. A lot of people do that don't like going to dialysis, but I like going there. I think it's safer for me. And yeah, so again, dialysis is just a machine that does what your kidneys are supposed to do. It's what they put a needle right up here, and then they put a needle right here. The bottom needle pulls out the blood, and the top needle returns the blood. And so they, depending on how much you weigh. So I have a dry weight of 66.8 kilos. And so if I come in at 69 kilos, that's the difference. So they have to bring me down to 66 kilos. So they'll do the math, and then they'll just decide how much they're going to remove that day. And then they'll take out the blood. The blood will come out. And then by the end of the treatment, I'll be skinny again. I'm just kidding, no, but my blood will be clean. And they do check the labs, and they do labs every month and every week. every weekly for some things. It just depends on when, but they do monthly labs, and then they check uh, if the machine is cleaning me properly and the machine is doing what it's supposed to be doing. And if it's not, the doctor can adjust the prescription. So when I first started dialysis 3 years ago, I was doing 3 hours only, 3 hours. Then the machine wasn't cleaning me properly, so they added 15 minutes. And then after a while, your body gets so used to it that it doesn't. So then they added 15 more minutes. So now I do 3.5 hours. Um, so just to make sure that the machine is doing what it's supposed to be doing, so that you're getting the best treatment possible. And then there's obviously a formula, and that's all has to do with the doctors and stuff. That I don't worry much about it, but I do know what it is. So just a fair warning, for this next part, I will be showing you guys, I will be taking you guys inside the dialysis place, inside my treatment, just give you guys a quick look of what it is like to be in dialysis. So just a warning, there is needles and there's a few graphic images of me getting poked and blood. So if you do not like blood or you do not like needles, just a warning that there will be blood. And it's not like blood's everywhere, but the needles are right there. So if you guys don't like that, just a warning. But hope you guys enjoy, and you guys can see that I'm bringing you guys into this very intimate space of mine, and I'm opening the doors for you guys to see me in that state. And I hope you guys enjoy. Here it is. Here, my treatment starts around 9:30. I'm supposed to be plugged in, attached to the machine by 9:30. So usually get here around 9:05. 9:10 depends on how much traffic there is, but I usually just leave my house around 9 or 8:50, depending on if I want to get there fast. So here, just walking in, nothing too exciting. Usually there will be lots of cars here, and depending on the time I get here again, I just walk in, and there's usually lots of patients waiting for their turn, and I knock on the door, and then I wait for them to let me in. And this is the exciting part. Welcome to my dialysis center. And then I walk in here, and this is what it looks like. I can't really show you much because I have to make sure I'm not recording the people's faces. But here's my chair. That's where I sit. That's what the dialysis machine looks like. There's a filter. Then there's the water. The filter goes through. And then those are the needles. Those are the needles that go in my arm. And then the first step, I have to go and weigh myself. I have to do this every time when I get there. Weigh myself. And this is how my treatment gets done. So depending on how much I weigh, that's the amount of treatment that I get. The time is always the same, though. I always get 3.5 hours, but it's just the amount of blood and the amount of liquid removed out of my system depends on how much I weigh. Yeah, here's the machine, and then I get ready. The second step is they check my blood pressure. So my blood pressure gets checked every 30 minutes on the dot. The machine automatically does it for me, so I don't have to do it myself. But so then they put that paper towel because I think I'm allergic to whatever that stuff is, and I break out. So it's just putting on the blood pressure cuff. Don't mind how dirty it is. They need to give me a new one. And then so he'll take my blood pressure, and then from here he'll decide what's gonna happen next. And then here they're cleaning me, so they have to make sure that my arm and the ports where they insert the needles are fully sanitized and cleaned before they go into my arm, because if I get an infection or there's just some dirty bacteria that goes in when they're putting the needle, it can be very dangerous, and we don't want an infection because this line goes directly to my heart. So this is connected directly to my heart. So this can be a big problem because the infection can spread really quickly into my heart. So she's clean. Make sure it's clean as possible. And then the techs change their gloves every time. So as soon as he's done doing this, he'll change his gloves because he's not allowed to touch the machine with the same gloves he touched my arm. And then just as a warning, this is going to be a very big graphic. If you don't like needles. So these needles are 15 gauge needles. So the smaller the number, the bigger the needle. I used to do 16 gauge, and then for a while I did 14. Now we've settled at 15, and then the size of the needle depends on the blood flow. So I do 500, and my blood flow is, sorry, I do 450 on the blood flow, and my needle size is 15. So that's the bottom needle. That's the needle that pulls out the blood. And now they're putting the top needle, and this needle is the one that returns the blood. And then he releases the blood, and then he's gonna check right now to make sure there's no blockage, and the blood flow is right, and there's nothing stuck in there, or that the vein is not narrowing, and make sure that the treatment can continue properly. So it's gonna put in some saline solution, pulls out the blood, puts it back in, make sure that everything is fine. He'll do it a few more times to make sure that I'm not feeling anything, that the needle's not poking me, or that it's not bouncing back, or it's not returning the blood, to make sure that everything is smooth. See, so he's adjusting it because I could feel something there. So he'll pull it out a little bit and make sure that it won't bother me throughout the treatment, because you're not supposed to feel anything. And he'll do it again for a few times. And then he'll input all the information. So he'll input my weight, he'll input the pressure of the machine, how much blood is supposed to be pulling out for how long. And so I do 3.5 hours and 450 with 15 gauge needles. And then, so again, it depends on how much I weigh during that time. So usually they'll remove 1 kilo, 2 kilos, everything goes in kilos. So here the treatment has already started, and as you can see in the far end, there's that tube, that's the filter. And then so now he's giving me my medicine. So they'll give me vitamins, and then they'll give me calcium. Sometimes they'll give me blood thinners, just depends, and everything is given to me through an IV. And then he'll adjust, make sure everything's running fine. And then treatment's over 3.5 later. So of course I didn't record the whole 3.5 hours, but it's over. So now they're returning my blood. So I have to wait. So after that, they try to waste the least amount of blood possible. So he'll return my blood, and then he'll make sure that almost of my blood is back in my body. And then he'll check again to make sure that there's no blockage. And then so now he's gonna take out the needles after the treatment. But at this point, I'm already like very exhausted and tired, because I honestly been there forever. But and this time it's already 1:00, and mind you, I got there at 9 a.m. So he has to be very careful not to hurt me when he's taking them out, because the needles are very big. So if you can see the bottom needle reaches the top, so if once he presses it will be really hard and it will hurt. So he has to make sure he pulls the bottom one out a little bit before he pulls the top one out. So then he's pulling out my needle, and then my needles, and then I have to hold it, make sure I don't bleed, because the holes are very big at the end. So, and now both needles are out, and I have to hold it for about 10 minutes till I stop bleeding. Now I'm done bleeding. He's changed my gauze, and he changes my gauze to make sure that it's clean, so that it doesn't get stuck, and that's my personal recommendations. Usually they don't, but I like a brand new gauze. Personal preference depending on the patient, but I just think it's gross to have dry blood right there after the treatment. So I like to clean gauze in case I bled a lot, but I usually don't bleed much. So he'll check, make sure I'm not bleeding. And then after this, he's gonna check my blood pressure. Again, my blood pressure gets checked every 30 minutes, and they do it sitting down, while I'm standing, while I'm laying down. So just because it varies, so your blood pressure usually fluctuates, depends on what you're doing. and they have to be very careful that my blood pressure doesn't even go too high or too low, because I can get very sick, or patients end up getting very sick because the blood pressure drops very rapidly and all of a sudden, so they have to be very cautious. So that's what the machine looks like emptied. They've taken all of the tubes that I used out, and they've prepped it for the next patient. So they'll put brand new tubes, and that's the end. So getting my blood pressure taken while I'm standing to make sure that I'm not too low or too high where it's dangerous for me to go home. So here, after they take my blood pressure, I go, and again, I have to check my weight before and after. So before, it tells me how much they're gonna take out, how much liquid they're gonna process out of my blood, or how much I'm overweight. And then here is, they see how much the treatment actually cleaned in those 3.5 hours. And it's supposed to, if they do the math right and the calculations is right and they enter them properly, the machine is supposed to clean you right to the right weight. So that was that, guys. Hope you guys, it was a bit long, I know, sorry. But that was an inside look of what my treatment is and what I do. I try to cut it a little bit short because I am there for a very long time. So, again, if you guys have any questions, any confusion or anything that sort about dialysis and what dialysis actually is, hit up my comments down below. And thank you guys for watching. Thanks for coming again. And I hope you guys see you guys next week. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share with your friends, your family, your cats, your dogs, your chickens, whoever you like. And let's learn a little bit more about what dialysis is and how it affects a young man's body. Thank you. Bye-bye.